Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Always fun.
Today, we're going to be looking at this idea,
Okay.
the power of now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be using an episode from the Next Level podcast called Unlocking the Power of Now as our guide.
Sounds good.
And it's basically about Eckhart Tolle's work and how being present,
Right.
truly present, is like the key to a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, and the Next Level episode does such a great job of really breaking it down.
I like that podcast.
Yeah, it's good.
So, how do you actually do that?
You know what I mean?
Just be present.
Yeah.
How do you switch off?
Well, Tolle actually refers to that as mental time travel.
Oh, really?
And it's something that a lot of us do,
Yeah.
without realizing it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just constantly flitting between past regrets and future worries.
Yeah.
That we just miss out on the richness of what's happening right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And the podcast episode actually suggests a quick breathing exercise
Oh, cool.
to kind of ground you in the present.
I love that.
Have you ever tried focusing on your breath for a few seconds?
Oh, my God, yeah. I do that all the time.
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how much of a difference, such a small thing can make.
It really is.
It's everything comes into focus.
Truly.
The world just kind of...
Yeah, it's
Kind of-
a starting point, Yeah. And if we struggle to even taste our food
Right.
because we're not mentally present,
Right.
what else are we missing out on?
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy.
The key takeaway I think there is that the present moment is all we truly have.
That's deep.
It's the only place where life is actually happening.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
Tolle introduces this concept of the pain body,
Yes.
which is basically all this emotional baggage that we carry around.
Yeah, all that unresolved hurt.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he says that it can even hijack our reactions in the present.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the Next Level podcast illustrates this perfectly
Oh, yeah.
with a story.
Oh, cool.
One of the hosts talks about getting frustrated with someone and then realizing it wasn't really about the situation itself. It was their own pain body,
Wow.
kind of amplifying their reaction.
So it's more about them than
Yeah,
other person?
it was an internal thing.
That's so interesting.
And that resonated with me because I think we've all had those moments where we overreact to something and then later we're like, why did I get so worked up about that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So how does knowing about this pain body help?
Right.
Does it just make you feel bad about your past?
It's not about dwelling on the past,
Okay.
but becoming aware of how it might be affecting you now.
Okay.
So that awareness is the first step to kind of freeing yourself from that pain body's grip.
So you start to see the patterns and
Exactly.
you can choose a different response?
Yeah.
It's almost like you become an observer,
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
that distance.
right?
Yeah.
But that must take so much practice.
Oh, for sure.
You don't just wake up one morning and suddenly you're free.
Yeah. It's a journey.
Right.
It's not a destination.
Totally.
And any journey, you need tools,
Yeah.
practices to help you along the way.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of those tools.
Okay.
So the Next Level episode mentioned a few that I found super helpful,
Yeah.
like using your senses to bring yourself back to the present moment.
Oh, yeah, totally. They even encourage listeners to take a moment just to really notice what they see, hear, and feel around them.
It's almost like a mini meditation.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of practical tips, they also talked about using visual reminders,
Oh, right.
like sticky notes with messages
Yes.
to nudge you back to the present.
Little reminders throughout the day.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's so fascinating is that Tolle wrote The Power of Now
Right?
before smartphones were everywhere.
Yeah.
But the podcast hosts talked about how you can use technology to your advantage,
Oh, interesting.
like setting phone alarms
Oh, wow.
or notifications as reminders to check in with yourself or practice mindful breathing.
Yeah,
It's such a good idea.
it is.
And it's so simple.
Totally.
I think it's easy to overcomplicate things,
Yeah,
especially when it comes to mindfulness and being present.
for sure.
But sometimes the simplest techniques
Yeah,
are the most effective.
absolutely. And the power of now really emphasizes that,
Oh, does it?
finding what works for you.
Yeah.
It's about integrating these practices into your daily routine.
So it's not about
Yeah.
striving for some unattainable state of perfect presence.
No, not at all.
It's more about creating a habit, a
Exactly.
new way of being in the world.
Yeah, and I think that's a more realistic and sustainable approach.
Totally.
Because let's be honest,
Yeah,
staying present takes effort.
for sure.
And it's something we need to cultivate continuously.
I can definitely see that.
It's not a one-time achievement.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an ongoing thing. Yeah, it really is about cultivating this new way of being.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the most powerful things about the power of now.
Yeah.
It's not just like a book you read.
Right.
It's like a practice you integrate into your life.
It makes me want to like dig deeper into the book itself.
Yeah.
You know, the podcast episode gives us like a great overview,
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
but there's something about hearing these ideas in like Tolley's own words, you
Mhm.
know?
Right. I totally get that the podcast is kind of like a springboard,
Yeah.
sparking the curiosity to explore further.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like getting a taste of a delicious meal
Ooh.
that makes you want the whole course.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and feeling that same pull,
Yeah.
we highly recommend checking out The Power of Now for yourself.
That's a good one.
It's like one of those books that can like shift your whole perspective.
Oh, yeah, totally. And what's so fascinating about like Tolley's work is that he's not just talking about mindfulness in like a superficial way.
Right.
He's pointing to like a fundamental shift in
Yeah.
how we experience reality.
It's about waking up from that autopilot mode that I think
Mhm.
most of us live in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We're often so lost in thought,
Yeah.
disconnected from our bodies that we're only like partially present in our own lives.
Oh, for sure.
We're reacting rather than responding.
Yeah.
And Tolley's offering a way out of that, a
Right.
way to like reclaim our attention,
Yeah.
our awareness, our ability to truly engage with life.
It's not about becoming like some emotionless being, though.
No, not at all.
Right.
Kali acknowledges that we'll still experience like negative emotions,
Right.
but the key is like recognizing them,
Right.
accepting them, and not letting them control us.
It's that space between stimulus and response.
Right.
That's where we have the power to choose.
Exactly.
I love that. So as we're wrapping up our like exploration of this idea,
Okay.
I'm curious, what's resonating most with you? What's like that one nugget of wisdom that you're taking away?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just the reminder that the present moment is truly all we have.
Yeah.
The past is gone.
Right.
The future is uncertain.
Right.
But in this breath right now,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity to experience life fully.
I love that.
And
for me, it's like this concept of the pain body.
yeah.
It's been so eye-opening to understand how much our past experiences
Yeah.
can influence our reactions in the present.
Totally.
Just having that awareness feels like a huge step.
It's about bringing those unconscious patterns to light.
Yeah.
And once we see them,
All right.
we can start to break free.
So true.
What about you? What's
Yeah.
standing out for you from our deep dive into the power of now?
What really strikes me is that this isn't just some abstract philosophy.
Yeah.
It's about like tangible tools
Mm.
for living a more fulfilling life.
Right.
A life less driven by like fear, anxiety, regret,
Yeah.
and more grounded in presence, joy, and peace.
And that's a life worth striving for,
Right.
wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Life where we're like awake to the
Yes.
beauty and wonder of
That you-
each moment.
And it all starts with a simple shift in focus.
Yay.
Bringing our attention to this moment,
Yeah.
right here, right now.
This is where it gets really interesting. You see, when you start to truly inhabit the present moment, you start to see things differently.
Yeah.
It's like that feeling when you travel to a new place
Oh, yeah.
and everything feels like fresh and vibrant,
Right.
except this time it's your own life.
Wow.
That becomes the new landscape.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that Tolley talks about how this shift in awareness
Okay.
affects not just our inner world,
Right.
but our perception of the outer world as well.
Interesting.
Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary.
So we're not just talking about some like feel-good self-improvement thing here.
Yeah.
This is about like fundamentally changing how we relate to reality.
Exactly. And the Next Level podcast touches on this too.
Oh, do they?
They talk about how being present allows us to appreciate
Okay.
the beauty in everyday things
Good.
that we often take for granted.
Like noticing the intricate patterns on a leaf
Yeah.
or the way sunlight dances on the surface of water.
Exactly.
Things we might normally just walk past without a second thought.
It's about waking up to the richness of our sensory experience,
Yeah.
of really seeing, hearing, feeling the world around us.
It makes me wonder, what are we all missing out on when we're not present? It's like we're sleepwalking through life,
Yeah.
oblivious to the vibrant colors,
Right.
the subtle nuances, the simple joys that are right there in front of us.
And that's the tragedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have this incredible gift of life, this amazing world to experience, and
Mhm.
we're so often too caught up in our own heads
Yeah.
to fully appreciate it.
So this power of now idea,
Yeah.